Interesting. Hang on. Okay, this may cut out for a second, in which case you have to log back in. This is my first time using LinkedIn Live. Okay. Chat is still not working. I wonder if that's my filter. The mic working? Can't tell. Testing audio, testing audio. Bear with us while we figure out how to use this. Oh, let me see. There we go. That should give us a mic. Perfect. And got a thumbs up. So I think the audio is coming through now. Perfect. Okay. Let's dive into this. Wait, I got a thumbs up and nobody's here. How does that work? I don't even know if anybody's here, but I'm still figuring this out here. Guess not. Okay, so let's dive in. Oh, we got there we go. People, looks like people are back in. Perfect. Okay. That is great. So let's finally get started here. Share entire screen. We're going to do screen 1. Yes, that's the screen. Okay. Nice. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is building a website live. This is going to take a little bit of time. So before I show all the background stuff, and again, I don't know if the chat is working. So it looks like chat disconnected. I may need to get the chat working here. Anybody who's in here, I'll just pop over to LinkedIn once in a while to see if there are any questions. Well, let's dive right in. So here we have building a website. So how would I build a website? There are a lot of interesting tools to build a website. The one that I'm going to use right now is called Abacus AI with their Deep Agent. This is what I found to be so far a really powerful tool for building really interesting websites. And I need to build a website because I have a business plan and I'm launching a company called Grit Growth Ops. And I have a whole business plan that I built actually alongside AI. We can go through some of that later, how we went through that. But part of right now at the step where I need a landing page, I need a website. So how do I do that? So for this, I'm going to come over to Abacus AI. I'm going to go to Deep Agent. Now, Abacus is a great app. If you have to pay for anything and you don't want to pay for much, it really kind of pulls a lot of stuff together here. What we're going to be looking at right now is what they call Deep Agent, which agents are, if you don't know, agents are these programs that can do a lot. These AI, they're given tools, they're given the ability to actually do stuff. So how we're going to do this, let's start with a couple of assets, because a lot of agents or any AI really works with context. And for that, what we're going to use is, I'm going to throw this up on the screen also so you all know what I'm doing here. As we can get rid of. When I started this project, I actually came over to Claude. This is Anthropic's Claude, which has a free tier, has a paid tier. And I personally am on their max tier, which is the lower level max tier, because I do a decent amount of coding. But we're not dealing with coding right now. We're doing the basic stuff. And okay. So we're going to start with is a number of files that I created. So under in Claude, you see they have these projects. I have one called Grit Growth Ops. And in here, I created a number of assets that I can use to inform the agent how I want what the company is about, what we're doing. And based on that, it can figure out how to build a site. So for example, we have, these are not downloadable, but here we go. So for example, we have defining unique value proposition. I'm just going to download that as Markdown. We're going to go back into here. So we have the value proposition of of this service, ICP. We're going to define our ICP, the there we go. So we have our ICP over here. Save that as Markdown. Markdown is just a nice, simple text-based document that it's very easy for the LLM to read. So we want the ICP. Again, come back into our project. We pick up the brand positioning statement, which would be over here. And we're gonna go into more detail later how I worked with Claude to build all these documents. But for now, we're just going to grab the Markdown of this. And then the last piece is we have brand colors and fonts. So we have our brand package. And do we want anything else out of here? Brand positioning statement. We did that already. Okay. So now that I have all of that, we can focus. We can add all that into the. Here we go. I'm also going to add in some logos that I had created on Fiverr, and we're going to select them. Now I'm going to call an app. This is a great app called Super Whisper. It's also an AI-based app. It has a lot of functionality to it, but basically, I can speak to any app I want. So I'm going to switch over to basic voice. Perfect. And there we go. So I want you to build for me a full website based on the following documents. Adhere to the branding schemes. The ICPs are obviously important. Build me a website that people can come to learn about the service. There should be a contact with them to contact me. And that's about it. My name is David Preil. The last name is spelled Preil. You should be able to find some stuff about me online and incorporate that also in the About Us page. Thank you. So you probably can't see that, but there's a little number. Yeah, you see a little number going up there, and I paste it in there. So I'll just edit it quickly, and we're good. And off we go. Usually, sometimes what these agents do, and you may be familiar with this from ChatGPT, is it's going to first think about it and ask me some questions. So let's answer those questions. contact. Okay, so preferred contact. Preferred contact would be or actually we'll do David@gritgrowthops.com. Any calls to action? Yeah, we want to schedule consultations. This is a free consultation. We can include a page for case studies and testimonials. Let's actually have an admin login so we can go in there without having to modify the site in the back, and we'll create an admin login so that we can go in and set that, update that information without having to do any backend work. For now, set the user as admin, set the password as admin123, and on the first login, we'll be able to change that. And the overall tone is we're looking for professional and technically adept. Before you go further, I also want to clarify, make sure you have all of the service packages that we're offering on the website, that people understand that there's options for. The least expensive option is the coaching, and there's also an option for there's an operational audit, and there's also the full-fledged fractional COO services. Make sure we capture that as well. Let's go. Again, the audio is processing. It's pretty fast. And there we go. Just double check the words. Looks pretty good. And we're off. Deep Agent is off doing its work. And this could take anywhere from 10 minutes to 45 minutes, which is why we're going to spend the rest of the time talking about other AI use cases. Okay. So, first of all, how did we get all those documents? How do we go? What was the entire workflow that I had? So this I was doing through Claude. I find that Claude Opus is a very, very useful. There we go. See, it's kicking off there, and it's starting to build. And it's going to build on its own internal computer, and we're going to leave it alone for a bit and come back later. So what was the process end to end with this? I started with, I made a project here, and the way projects work in Claude is similar to how it works in ChatGPT. But basically, I iterate and I go through the project building with the actual what we produce. So, for example, this is the earliest message. I started off by saying, again, this is mostly speaking to it. This is the business idea I have. I want to build a roadmap to launch the business. So here we go. It gave me a 30-day roadmap. Do all this. Not so much, not so hard. You just got to follow it. So I went through the roadmap. It actually was pretty good. I just stuck with that roadmap, and that's basically what I'm following. Not because it's the best roadmap in the world, but action beats. At this stage, action beats everything else. Got to keep moving forward. The next step was, so let's see, what did the project say to do? Define your unique value proposition. Okay, that seems simple enough. So the next project is defining the unique value proposition. I come over here and I say, okay, we need to define it. So it gives me its thoughts. I go back and forth with it. And after this whole back and forth, I feel that it's understanding what I'm trying to do here. And we get to I asked to make it into an artifact. An artifact is what Claude calls these things over here, where it can be anything from a website, a full-blown website. It could be an app even. It could be just this text. And in this case, it created it as Markdown or a PDF. You can download whatever you want to, but here it defines the unique value proposition, who we serve as best, and what problem we're solving, our approach to the problem, and there's a nice little copy to project. So now the project has in its context, you can always pull it in and say, hey, check what our unique value proposition is, and it knows what it is. And then we continue. The next step in the process, going back to our original roadmap, was identify your ideal client profile. So let's say I don't even know anything about building a business. I know I got to do this. So I can come back into Claude, and I have defining ideal client profile. I start off with, Okay, now I need to define the ICP, the ideal client profile. And again, I go through this process with Claude, and once I feel that we have it nailed down, again, this is back and forth. With AI, it's never about taking its first result, or hardly ever about that. This is about strategizing with the AI. And again, I'm using Claude Opus 4, which is, again, a very insightful and well-working model. If you want to use it extensively, you're probably going to need to get the max plan, but they do have some usage of it on the lower end plan. Another model which is very good for this would be the ChatGPT o3, very good at strategizing, a bit more technical. It's very interesting if you compare the results of each one of them. Opus 4 just feels a little bit more, it feels more human. Again, it's not more human, but it does feel a little bit more human. And again, this is a long back and forth, and we end up with this document. So I basically went through each step of the plan and created a documentation, each time saving it to project, of what it asked for. And then the parts that are relevant for the website, I pulled out and provided to Deep Agent. Let's go back and check on that little project, how it's going. And it is still going. It is, at this point, it's analyzing stuff I've done, looking for me online. I can see it's pulling information about what I've done. Information is not so up to date, but okay, that's on me. And you see here it's giving a bit of a printout of what it's looking for, what it's doing. It's analyzing things, searching web access, and doing research now on me. So this is where we're up to. We're still a deep way in here. You can see here it is 2 tasks, 6 subtasks. It's working. Okay, perfect. Okay, so that's this project. Let's just explore a few more different basic ways to use AI, or that I use AI. And the best way to do that is I'm just going to load up here my ChatGPT window. And you can see the different ways that I use AI almost as I won't say a second brain, but it's really useful in many, many, many ways, many parts of life. So for example, the basic things you got to know about ChatGPT. Again, there's a few models here. I'm not going to do a full tutorial on ChatGPT. It's really more about the ideas of how you can use AI in general. So for example, we can just move backwards in time here. Today, we actually had a spigot break in our house. I wanted to know exactly what I needed to buy and how to replace it. We took a picture of it. We actually measured. We put a measure in there, we use tape measure just for context. The tape measure is there just to give the system an understanding of the size. You load the picture in, and it can figure out a lot on its own. It doesn't figure out everything on its own, but it gives you all the different things you need to buy, how to do it, gives you a full list of what you need to do. So it is very good for household projects. Now, here's a business use case, which is what we're going to try to focus on here, is I use a filter for my computer, and sometimes websites get blocked. Sometimes websites get blocked. So what do I do when a website gets blocked? So sometimes it tells you you're blocked. Sometimes it's a little more subtle than that. You're trying to use, for example, I'm trying to use GenSpark, which is another agentic tool, and I don't know what URLs are being blocked. So I would come into ChatGPT, and for this I just used the basic model 4.0, which is very good for basic information. I asked, I need to whitelist GenSpark to work with my filter company. So I just said, what URLs do I need whitelisted with my filter company in order to use GenSpark? And it gave me a list of the URLs to request to be whitelisted. So I don't need to go looking through my console. I don't need to start guessing or reaching out to GenSpark. I can just have ChatGPT tell me the URLs, and it'll work. Now, what if it doesn't work? What if it's been updated? It's been updated since then. So at that point, I could always rerun the request with web search, and it'll give me more up-to-date information. And I can even come in a few days later and run it again with search enabled. And 4.0 is usually pretty fast. And now it gave me a little bit more information. But again, it looks like the basic ones were covered before, and the wildcard flag should cover. This was an interesting one. Actually, this is a deep research project that I did. I was trying to figure out how to do something a little bit complex in Claude Code. So I came in here and I used what's called deep research, which you get only on the paid plans. And that's an agentic tool that OpenAI has to do again, as it says, deep research. It takes what you give it and it does a lot of, looks into it a lot, does a lot of web searching, does more analysis, and it gives you a more thorough response. This time it came out, the results were pretty fast. This is a pretty fast one, but sometimes it can print out up to, I've had reports generated that are 60 pages long from this type of search, and very, very thorough ideas. This I used O3, which is, it's called a reasoning model, so it thinks. And in this case, I was asking for it, well, this is pretty technical, I was asking for it to find a tool that I could use to run Claude code via the CLI, via the command line, and it gave me a number of options for that, and the pluses and minuses. Printed out a nice little chart down here. Give me some code, it's a chart, and that's how I use that. Now, this one is simply just a little, this has been actually an issue that's been bothering me. Again, it's all these things that just come up of you're thinking, how do I do this? You should be, instead of thinking go to Google or go to your friend who knows this stuff, think about going to the AI, it's to ChatGPT. It's a very easy way to get good answers. So, for example, I've had this issue on Mac for a while. Looks like I actually have an answer here. I wasn't even expecting one because I've never found an answer for this before, where sometimes the volume slider gets adjusted automatically. And here it actually gives me step-by-step instructions, including a script I can just run in, or just a line I can run in the terminal, and exactly how to do it, and I can actually fix this problem, which is great. This was an interesting use case where we have in one of the places I work, one place I consult, we have a laser engraving machine, and it's working in a closed environment, closed space, and the question was is this dangerous? So first I identified the machine, and then I asked the question, should this only be used in a ventilated space? And I started getting a whole speech about dangers and this and that, and then I wanted to clarify, our use is pretty small. Even for small batches, you should be careful. And then I said, is it dangerous to anyone nearby? Or just, again, you can't just consult it like you consult a person. It goes through the risks, gives you some emojis. And then finally I asked about the long-term health. Yeah, long-term health issues. Okay, great. I said, based on the usage I described, and don't be alarmist, are there really risks or is it really fine? And then all of a sudden we got the answer, 30 phones at a time, not every day, you're probably fine. So if you're only running the machine for a little bit, you'll be fine. So that is, and that's kind of where we left off with, is that it's really not going to be a big deal for our use case, but if we're going to start using it more frequently, we are going to need to start ventilating a little bit better. And this is a use case that everyone knows about, is you can use ChatGPT to generate some really great images. This is not exactly what I envisioned, but it was definitely close enough for the post that I wanted. And here we go. And what's nice about ChatGPT is you can edit the image pretty easily. Let's try reverse the tortoise and hare. And we'll come back to that in a minute or two. Speaking of coming back, let's check on our Deep Agent, how it's doing. And it is generating a website. Here we go. Here we go. It's building a Next.js website. If you're not technical, don't worry about that. But it's building the website in the Ubuntu space. And it's writing and it's writing. And you see here it's writing lots of files. This is going to be a full project. It's not just going to be a single page. And it's still got time to go. Can we see what it's up to here? Not exactly, kind of there. Growth-focused organizational design structure that scales with your business. It's getting stuff there. Okay, we'll come back here, and when we're done, we're going to deploy it and see what it actually looks like. Back to use cases. Okay. Okay, I see this icon is still loading. leave this one alone here. Sometimes you can use ChatGPT for some very, very basic things or very practical things like, I have a dried piece of salmon in my fridge. How do I make it taste better? And here we go. Get a little recipe, get some ideas. And I opted for the, could have steamed it. Actually just ended up frying it in butter, which actually did not come out as well as I would have hoped, but definitely better than plain. These are notes from meetings. This is a feature if you have the Pro, if you have the Plus plan, that's the $20 a month plan. One new feature in ChatGPT now is the ability to record meetings. That's this button here. So this is actually a summary of the meeting. It's nice. It replaces some apps theoretically. The only problem is you want to get a transcript. It's not so easy. You have to ask it for the transcript, and depending on the length of the meeting, it'll have to give it to you in pieces, which can take some time, which is a bit of a pain. So if you don't want to have to do that, you can get an app like Granola, which has a decent amount of the free tier, not terribly expensive on their paid tiers, and there the transcript is much easier to pull out. And you can summarize in different ways. But again, this is nice, and then you can copy and paste this into whatever document repository you use. You can also ask questions to it. Pet lawn solutions. This was an interesting one. Someone posted on LinkedIn about the challenge of pets and what they do to lawns. So what I did was I actually spun up a separate service that I have that I created that actually, it's a creativity engine. It's pretty good. It gives ideas, definitely more creative ideas than I get straight out of an LLM. And it gave a certain idea, and I wanted to actually build the implementation for this idea. So again, the actual engine is not publicly available. Maybe we'll have to make that publicly available at some point. Okay. No, here we go. I fed it the idea. I copied and pasted the basic idea from my creativity engine. And I said, and where's that? The server is running. Here we go. So the topic, what it fed us was this thing called Paws on Planters, innovative pet-friendly planters. These are the top 4 ideas of putting planters as pheromones to attract the animals, certain turf zones to attract, sense, all that. And it started out with that plan. And we started analyzing the plan. I'm using O3 here to analyze it, and we analyzed the plan. And it had its pluses and minuses, and it kind of it spec'd it out, it priced it out, and we built that out there. And then I gave it some other plans, and it gave me the pluses and the minuses. I said, let's summarize it in 500 words to share with somebody. I wanted to be able to share it. It gave me this whole write-up. I realized it was a bit too long. I said, let's try 200 words or less. Let's take out the branding. And this is like, let's keep it a more simple, informal message. And it rewrote it. But then I didn't like the plan at all. I didn't like this option very much. So I ran the option again through the creativity engine, and I got a different idea this time. And I said, okay, what if we take these ideas? What do you think about these ideas? And it broke it down again. It liked the idea. Again, just because your AI likes the idea doesn't mean anything. AI is there to make you feel good. So don't take that too seriously. But the second plan had a lot of advantages over the first plan. And again, give it to me in simple terms. And I was able to use that and present it to somebody. And whether anything comes of it or not is maybe not. But here we go. I was able to take the basic idea, flesh it out, build a budget around it, understand the pricing, the cost, the possible profitability of such a plan, analyze the pluses and minuses, and then even formulate a way to use it or to present it to somebody, all within a single chat. And for this, again, I'd be using O3. I see that our picture is ready. So let's see how we did here. Reversing the tortoise and the hare. And did not understand it. I put the tortoise on one side and the hare on the other side, but kept the hare on the bad track. So interesting. Let's just try to no. I'd like to have the tortoise on the bad side. Again, one-liner. Let's see what it can give us. Moving along into the other tools that I used, I see I was doing some stuff with Hugging Face. That's already more technical. This is already a different app I'm building right now. Again, we're not dealing with building apps right now. This is, again, simple use cases. Okay, so we come here. This is a really great use case for ChatGPT. Comparing and contrasting. This was a deep agent. So you can see here, it did its research. It had 15 sources. And by the way, all the AI tools have some sort of deep research functionality. Claude's is very interesting the way it works. Very interesting the way it works. It kind of pulls things together and like makes it a much more, it pulls from many more sources and creates a much more concise result, but it's usually very good and interesting. Google Gemini's is massive in what it does. I found ChatGPTs to be the best at this, but everyone has their preferences. But generally speaking, people I talk to really like the OpenAI implementation of the deep research agents. So I basically wanted to know, I'm looking at different agents here. So I said, I just wrote Abacus, deep agent versus Manus versus other super agents. So it said, give me more context. So I want to compare them, cost, money paid, other considerations, etc. So this is a pretty brief response. And I got a decent report here of what I was looking for. It has Abacus, Manus, GenSpark, Suna, other platforms, OpenAI's operator. This is before OpenAI agent came out, I think. I don't have access yet because of my location. And it gives us analysis. It gives you analysis. Now, if I were to do a proper software review, I can go further back in time and find it. What I would start off with is I wouldn't just start with give me this review. I would build out, just like for my website build, I built out pre-documents that I used in order to manage it. I would do the same thing here. So for example, I was looking at help desk solutions a while back. So first thing I did was I had OpenAI generate me lists of help desk solutions. We had like 60 or 70 different help desk solutions. And then I fed that list, and then I had it say, okay, what criteria should I use to assess a software a help desk solution? And it gave me a list. I said, okay, let's focus on these 10. I took out the other ones. Then I asked it again, well, did we miss anything? And again, we got a new list, and I was able to pick from that list. And then I said, okay, here's my list of 10 things I care about. Here's my list of 60 software solutions. Categorize them, break them down by strengths and weaknesses, compare them, and give me a comparison table based on this list. It ran for about half an hour. It gave me a 60-page printout. I didn't use all of it, but I was able to use it to really organize the feature set I was looking for, identify it based on that. I was able to answer questions afterwards and really help narrow down what we were looking for. Even after I did that whole analysis, I went back and said, give me 10 names we didn't come up with yet and run them through the same analysis. And I got another 1 or 2 names out of that. So it was, and it's with AI, it's all about how you use it. I see our tortoise and hare prompt is ready. Let's go back and check it out. And there we go. There we go. Here, a little better this time. Here, the rabbit is in front. Tortoise is on the bad side. Looking more troubled, but very good. This was how we're doing over here. We're still not done. You see, this is still spinning, so we are not done yet. So we're getting there. It's running build, which means it's building the site now, which is good. We're almost done on that. Let's see how it comes out. And again, whatever I get from this, I'll be able to modify it later. This is just the first run. We'll see how it does. This is literally just me loading up 4 documents and 2 logos. Not even the best logos for me because I haven't cut out the actual individual logos. It has the whole brand there. And I'll look at this. Almost done verifying accessibility. I think we're almost there. Let's do 1 or 2 more ChatGPTs, and then we will hop back over to Deep Agent. So this is a phone logging system, a phone call system, I should say, and we wanted to get certain information out of it. So we asked, I want to know how many phone calls got routed to a specific phone line in my company. I want to bucket it by hours of the day. How do I do this? I was asking basically how to use this software tool that we have, and it was able to give me some information. At some point, I couldn't do it, so I was able to share a screenshot. I said, it's not working. Is there another way? And I was able to say, you're looking at the wrong page, and it pointed me to the right location. And eventually, I said, this doesn't working. I said, okay, try this. And It troubleshot with me a little bit. I kept giving it screenshots, and eventually I was able to give me this report. And again, not exactly what I wanted because it doesn't organize by hours of day. It doesn't bucket it by days, by hours. It just does it every hour, Sunday, Monday, etc. This is not nearly as usable as I'd want it to be. I actually fed the same Excel sheet or CSV file into Claude, and this is a great example of where and how artifacts can do some pretty interesting things here. Let me just find it. Here it is, text volume call support. So you can see here, this is the document. Oh, it didn't give me. Okay, it gave me his analysis. It did not give me, where's the website? Oh, I remember Grok gave me the graphical printout for this. This just gave me this analysis, which is very similar to ChatGPT's. Then it gave me some nice little summaries here, peak call volume, daily averages. So that was nice. If it had given me an actual page, like here, for example, here I used to design a one-pager. Actually didn't come out very nice. This is one of the companies that I work with. We were creating one-pager here. This is all created using HTML, and therefore this is actually a web page, and you can actually publish it. You can publish it, actually publish it, copy a link, you can share with people, and it's a live website. It's a live website. I'm actually going to unpublish it now, but this becomes a live website, and people are actually building apps within Claude, and then they can actually use the Claude AI, but not on their own account. They can have other people come in and use their own Claude login to make it work. Okay, let's check back in with our agent, and here we go. Brand analysis. Here we go. Researching all that stuff, and deploy. There we go. There's a deploy button. So let's do this. Let's see what our website looks like. So we can either use an Abacus AI domain, which means it'll be grit growth ops at .abacus.app, or we can use a custom domain. We're not going to do that now, but you can have your own domain, gritgrowthops.com. I own that, and I could use it. I actually have a different one set up in here, but there's a way to set it up. We're not dealing with that right now. Let's just get it live and see what we got. It's Radiant Youth, right? Okay, so we're going to do version 1. Deployment successful. It's probably not up yet. Let's take a look. And oh, look at that. It is up. Okay. Nice little graphical moving there. We have a little nav bar, free consultation in a funny place. This is the admin panel. Let's see if the admin login works. Admin and admin 1, 2, 3. What? That's not what I told it to do. What is the admin login? Just hope it doesn't. And by the way, you can see over here, it tells you how many credits, should tell you how many credits you used. I don't see why I didn't do that. Usually it tells you how many credits you used with the build. I don't know why, because you get, when you sign up for Abacus, you get basically 2,500 credits. And if you go for their pro plan, okay, see here, there it just says 75 credits. That's not a lot. The build would have used a lot more. There it is. Credits used 2,300. That makes sense. Okay, but the page says I need to use an email address. And I'll give it a little bit more help. Here we go. I'm just going to take a screenshot here. And I'm going to drop it in. And once it finishes loading, I can send that back in. And now it's going to look, see, identify the problem. It's going to fix the problem. So we'll let that go while I wait. I'm going to go back to the home page. That works. This is a little bit not so nice. You have to fix this a little bit. But here we go. Here are the ICPs. What kind of founder are you? technical founder, revenue driver founder, pain points, and our solution. Again, this could be a little bit more aligned. Let's see what happens here. Oh, here we go. It takes us to the contact us page. Great. Let's go back to the home page. Coaching. I didn't give it pricing. That's so interesting. I didn't give it pricing. I'll have to update the pricing, or maybe I should follow it and charge more than I charge. But this is it's nice. I would need to sit down and actually read through it line by line to make sure I got it all right, obviously. That's not bad. Here are the results it made up, 20 plus hours, 50 job option and drop balls. And that's it, schedule a free consultation. And let's see the other pages here, the About Us page. Let's see how this did. Meet David Proel. Information's a bit dated, but okay. Interesting where it got the international tax compliance from. That's not really one of my skill sets. So here, this is about me. This is about the company we do. Where this talks about grit over here, GRIT, thought leadership. These don't have links. Those links should be added. Proven track record. Again, dated information. It's just inaccurate, but it's there. And so we need to go through this and fix it up. Again, not the nicest website, but when you consider that this cost a total of about $2.50 to build and took a couple minutes, that's pretty impressive. Services, this is the services page. Here it again elaborates on this concept of grit. Schedule your consultation. Case studies, it gave me a case studies page. It actually gave a case study. Okay, the image is blocked because I have an image blocker, so that's fine. Here we go. This is a made-up case study. So this is good old AI making stuff up. This is a roadmap that we discussed within our documents. And again, call to action. Every page, call to action, well designed. Testimonials. I don't know who these people are. These are all made-up people. I don't know why my image blocker didn't just work. But again, this is almost good. Not perfect. Not perfect, but, and here's contact. I wonder where this goes to. Let's see if anything happens here. Okay, your message has been sent. I'm really curious where it went. I'm going to keep an eye on my inbox and see if anything happened. But so far, nothing. Did I go to my spam? No. I'll check again in a couple of minutes, but I'm pretty sure that went nowhere. But even so, here you go, Greg. This is direct email. Click on this. It actually just opened up an email in my email tool. You can't see it here. I'll try to drag it up to the screen. No. Fine, I wasn't planning on sharing my inbox. But basically, it gave a message. Hi, David. I'd like to discuss my operational challenges. Company, team size, current revenue stage, biggest operational challenge, thanks. So it generated the entire email. That's pretty nice. Okay, these listed services are not links. These are links. And let's get back and see if it fixed the admin. Okay. Admin login. There we go. Let's try the login and see if this login works. That'd be really neat if it works. Let's reload the page. Admin. Oh, I didn't redeploy. We'll see if it works anyway. Login successful. Look at that. Wow. Admin dashboard. This thing comes with its own admin dashboard. You can add, edit, and delete your case studies and your testimonials. Oh, look at that. There's a contact submission. I wonder if that's the contact submission I did. Oh my gosh, look at that. It's right here. Can't do anything with it, but it actually captured it and put it somewhere. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Here you have feature. That's cool. Under testimonials, you get to pick what's featured, and that doesn't go anywhere. Okay. There we go. That's broken. 404 page cannot be found. Okay, so that doesn't go anywhere. And that doesn't go anywhere still. Okay. Still. Wow. And that's what we got. And that goes back to the main page, as you'd expect. So there you have it. This was a one-shot build of an actual full landing page. And it actually, well, not landing, this is a website. This is a full website. We can go back now and tweak it and tell it to fix this little thing and that little thing. But we have a functioning website, which is great if you're trying to just get out of business. Now, am I going to stick with this website for forever? No. This is just to get started. Once you're ready to and you have the time for it, you go with the proper design and you build a proper website. Also, you can download this. This whole website is just a Next.js website, which means you can come here. Here's the website, download the whole thing. And if you know what you're doing, I don't know if this means anything to anybody, but here you go. This is the website, my download folder, all the different files here. Public, components, everything here. And then just take that and you can load it up somewhere else and you can launch it from on your own server. You don't need to use their servers. So anyway, that's it. We did it. We built a website. It worked. That's unbelievable. I'm excited. And I think this is going to be my website going forward. I may need to tweak it a little bit, but this will be the website. And there we go. I can check up another task on my list from that I got originally, my business plan, to launch a website. Just want to show one more thing. That original plan to launch a website. Heading back into projects. Great growth ops. Launch the business. Here's the roadmap. Website creation. Gives us 10 to 12 days. We just did that in 30 minutes. That's not bad. All the stuff we already created has a homepage, about, services, case studies, contact. There we go. It's got all that. Again, do we write compelling copy? Not so much. Do you have to add testimonials? Yeah, we got to get real testimonials in there. But we can do that. It has the functionality for that. And then there's some other additional levels to do. And the next step is the sales and marketing. So whoever's able to make it, thank you for joining. And we did it. It actually worked. Look at that.